What's up, Tribe? Nick here in Ottawa, and in this awareness video I want to talk about the concept of health traction. So traction is the opposite of distraction. Okay, I used to think that distraction, the opposite of distraction was focus, but I read a book called Indistractable by Nir Eyal, which I highly recommend, super powerful book. But he essentially puts the paradigm of traction is the opposite of distraction. And in order to identify distraction, we first need to know what traction is, right? In order to get somewhere, you got to know what that somewhere is. And to put that into context, a lot of people that I speak to say, I want to be healthy. And then one of the questions I ask them is, what do you define as healthy? And they kind of don't really know a concise answer, right? They're kind of like, I'm not really sure what that means, but I know kind of what healthy is, and that's what I want to be, but I don't really know what it is. And if you don't know where you want to go, if you don't know what the goal is, it's gonna be really hard to get there, right? So defining what healthy means, what health means, is essentially defining what traction is. And so in order to knowing what traction is allows you to avoid distractions, right? If you have a health goal of eating natural whole food, then eating sugary, delicious, devoid of nutrient food is a distraction, right? If you have the health goal of moving more, right, of spending more time doing exercise or just moving in general, then that sitting on the couch watching Netflix is a distraction. And there's nothing wrong with doing those things. There's nothing wrong with eating shitty food that's not great for you or watching Netflix, but you need to understand, okay, this is a tolerable amount of doing that still allows me to make traction. So the concept of health traction is defining what your next goal is. What does health traction mean for you? And someone I spoke to the other day said, health traction for me means working towards creating a daily meditation habit. And even then I was like, okay, how long do you want to meditate for? And they said 10 minutes. And I said, perfect, let's start with 2 minutes. Because meditation is really hard. We're so used to distracting ourselves. And just to give you an idea, distraction and kind of getting distracted is something we all practice almost every day, right? Every single time you check your phone, you're in the middle of doing work and you check your phone, or you get a ping or a ding, or someone says, hey, can you answer this when you're in the middle of something? You are getting distracted from the task that you were doing, and you're essentially reinforcing your ability to get distracted. Whereas the ability to focus on one single thing and concentrate on one single thing is something very few of us practice, right? It's one of the biggest reasons that I started doing beam work way back when, was because it forced me to concentrate my attention on one single thing. And that actually, funnily enough, made meditation much easier, because I had already sort of essentially trained my concentration so that it was much easier to sit down for 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and not feel the urge to be distracted, not feel the urge to pick up my phone or move and fidget. And so defining health traction is a very, very helpful element of actually gaining traction. Not only does it tell you what the distractions are, but it also gives you sort of like this guiding goal that you're trying to work towards. So define health traction, right? And for that person with meditation, it was, that person's goal of health traction was, I want to build a sustainable meditation habit of doing meditation every day. So we landed on 2 minutes. We decided the time that she was going to meditate, right? First thing in the morning. We found a habit she does every morning. She splashes water on her face and takes her vitamins. We said, okay, well, right after doing that, you're going to meditate for 2 minutes. So the cue to meditate every day was actually taking her vitamins, and she put a little Post-it note on her vitamin container. And her definition of traction, right, in terms of prioritizing one element, because that's the other thing too. You might have a bunch of different definitions of traction with each pillar of health, like meditation or movement or food or whatever it might be, but it's good to pick one thing to start with. Her definition of traction was, I want to meditate every day consistently. So we started with 2 minutes, we defined when she was going to do it, and traction meant making daily progress towards that goal. And for the first few days, she found it really hard to even just sit for 2 minutes. But the act of sitting down right after she had her vitamins was traction. regardless of what happened in that 2 minutes. If she was distracted or, it doesn't matter what she did, that was traction. And being able to make traction was a very, very reinforcing and motivating action. So every day she did that, and every day she made traction, she put an X on a calendar. And before long, she had 30 days straight of X's on a calendar, but she had to define what traction was in order to know what distractions were, and also in order to know what was her next goal. So hopefully that clarifies the concept and the value of determining what health traction means for you, which also means prioritizing and figuring out what is the most appropriate goal for me to work towards and how do I define traction. And hopefully that inspires you to create your own metric for what health traction means. And so you can identify health distractions easier, but more importantly, work towards something specific. Okay, hopefully that video helps. Catch you next one.